Have you ever pushed yourself to the absolute limits of your endurance? Intellectually, physically, or spiritually, only to find that the ultimate answer still eludes you? Have you reached a point where every effort, every strategy, every act of striving seems to fall short, leaving a persistent, unyielding emptiness within? What happens when human determination meets its undeniable boundary? And what revolutionary insight emerges from that precipice? Today, we journey into one of the most pivotal and intensely personal moments in the life of Siddhartha Gautama, the man who would become the Buddha. This is not merely a tale of historical significance, it is a profound exploration of the ultimate act of surrender. The moment where all striving ceases, and true enlightenment bursts forth. Drawing from the profound insights of masters like Sadhguru, we will witness Siddhartha's relentless pursuit, his encounter with the limits of conventional spiritual practice, and the radical realization that transformed him from a seeker into the awakened one. Prepare to delve into the heart of authentic spiritual quest, where wisdom blossoms not from endless effort, but from the ultimate letting go. The relentless seeker, Siddhartha's intellectual brilliance and unquenchable longing. Siddhartha Gautama, having renounced his princely life and the extremes of worldly indulgence, embarked on an arduous and solitary quest for truth. His journey led him to every known spiritual master of his time, each revered for their unique insights and practices. What set Siddhartha apart, however, was his extraordinary intellectual brilliance and an almost superhuman capacity for spiritual absorption. As Sadhguru aptly describes, Siddhartha was a being whose longing for truth was so immense, so unquenchable, that where an ordinary seeker might take years to grasp a particular spiritual concept or achieve a certain state of meditation, he would accomplish it in mere weeks. He was a spiritual prodigy, absorbing knowledge and techniques with astonishing speed and depth. His dedication was absolute. The path of meditation, as taught by these masters, often involved various stages of profound concentration and inner stillness, known as samadhis. There are traditionally 8 types of samadhis, representing different levels of meditative absorption, from states of pure joy and rapture to states of equanimity and boundless space. Siddhartha, with his unparalleled focus and intense longing, systematically achieved all 8 of them. He mastered every technique, exhausted every teaching, and explored every peak of consciousness known to his contemporary spiritual world. Yet, despite these monumental achievements, despite reaching states that others considered the pinnacle of spiritual realization, Siddhartha knew, deep within his being, that this was not the true fullness of life. The persistent ache of longing, the subtle yet undeniable sense of incompleteness, remained. This indicates that while he achieved profound meditative states, he had not yet fully transcended the fundamental conditions of suffering. The root of craving itself, the thirst for ultimate truth, for absolute liberation, continued to burn within him, undiminished by any acquired spiritual power or temporary blissful state. He understood that true enlightenment lay beyond even the highest forms of concentrated absorption. Buddhist insight. This period of Siddhartha's life vividly illustrates his exceptional capacity for viriya, right effort, and samadhi, right concentration. His mastery of all 8 samadhis demonstrates his complete dedication and proficiency in meditative practices. However, his continued longing reveals a crucial Buddhist insight. While samadhi brings profound peace and clarity, it is not, by itself, synonymous with full enlightenment, prajna, wisdom. True liberation requires not just concentration, but also vipassana, insight, the direct seeing of the true nature of reality. Specifically the characteristics of anicca, impermanence, dukkha, suffering, and anatta, non-self. Siddhartha's realization that this is not fullness of life, despite achieving the highest samadhis, shows his discerning wisdom and refusal to settle for anything less than ultimate liberation. It highlights that even profound spiritual experiences can become a subtle form of attachment if not seen through the lens of ultimate truth. The ascetic's extreme, a path of self-destruction and profound disillusionment. When nothing else, no conventional teaching, no established master, seemed to offer the final answer to his unquenchable longing, Siddhartha, in a final, desperate attempt, took his spiritual quest to an extreme path. This path was known as samanas, a severe form of asceticism prevalent in his time. characterized by extreme self-denial and rigorous physical hardship. One of the most basic aspects of their life was a radical detachment from sustenance. They never actively asked for food. They would simply keep walking, maintaining their spiritual practice. They survived only on what was given to them spontaneously or what they might find. Siddhartha, in his characteristic intensity, took this path even more severely than his peers. He didn't even walk in the direction of where food might naturally be found. He simply walked straight, driven solely by his internal quest, utterly oblivious to his body's needs. In this relentless process, he pushed himself to the absolute limits of human endurance, destroying his body so badly that he became all skin and bones. His physical form was emaciated, a mere shadow of his former princely self. He became so weak that, as long as food didn't spontaneously come to him, he simply never ate. His determination was absolute, but his body was failing. 6 long, grueling years passed in this state of extreme deprivation. Years without adequate food or restful sleep. He lost a tremendous amount of weight, becoming a living skeleton, his bones protruding sharply. His body was covered in dirt, a stark image of profound suffering. Yet, despite this immense self-mortification, the ultimate truth, the end of suffering, remained elusive. The answers he sought did not manifest through physical torment. Buddhist insight. This period vividly illustrates Siddhartha's exploration of Atthakilamathanayoga, self-mortification, one of the two extremes rejected by the middle path. While demonstrating immense viriya, effort, it highlights the futility of seeking liberation through purely physical means or self-inflicted pain. Buddhism teaches that the body is a vehicle for spiritual practice, not an enemy to be tormented. Destroying the body hinders the mind's clarity and ability to meditate effectively. This experience was crucial for Siddhartha to definitively conclude that such extreme practices do not lead to enlightenment, but rather to exhaustion and further suffering. It solidifies his later teaching that true liberation comes from understanding and purifying the mind, not punishing the flesh. The brink of surrender, the Niranjana stream, and the moment of radical realization. One day, his emaciated form reached the banks of the Niranjana stream. This was a small stream, perhaps only 2 feet deep, flowing gently but swiftly. He came to the water's edge, intent on crossing it, perhaps to continue his journey or find a new place to meditate. However, his body, pushed to unimaginable limits, betrayed him. Halfway across the shallow stream, he simply could not take another step. He did not possess the strength left in his body to push forward. There was a dead branch of a tree lying across the stream, or perhaps floating nearby. In his utter weakness, he instinctively held onto it, clinging to it for support, preventing himself from collapsing into the water. We do not know how long he stood there, suspended between the two banks, clinging to that dead branch. In his profound weakness, in his complete inability to move, holding onto this lifeline must have felt like an eternity. It might have been just a few minutes. It may have been a few hours. The historical accounts vary, but in his personal experience, stretched by exhaustion and the intensity of the moment, it was an immeasurably long time. He just hung there, utterly devoid of strength to take the next step. Yet, crucially, he was not the kind of being to simply give up. His deep-seated resolve, though tested, remained. Then, in that moment of absolute physical depletion, of utter helplessness, something utterly revolutionary occurred within his consciousness. A radical, profound realization burst forth, illuminating his mind with crystal clarity. He suddenly understood. The problem was that he was trying to realize, not allowing that to take him. He was trying to take that. He was trying to grasp, to achieve, to take something which is limitless, which is boundless, something that cannot be grasped or contained by the limited mind or body. The very act of striving, of trying to get enlightenment, was the barrier. He was trying to force open a door that could only open when he completely let go. In that instant of profound insight, paradoxically, he suddenly had the strength to take those few final steps across the river. He didn't find new physical power, rather, his understanding transformed his perception of his weakness. He calmly went and sat down under the Bodhi tree, the very tree that would become the symbol of his awakening. He sat down, and with a renewed, absolute resolve, made his ultimate vow. I will sit here, Either I must become a part of it, the ultimate truth, the boundless reality, or I will die here. I will not get up from this place until I have achieved my goal. Buddhist insight. This moment at the Niranjana stream is the absolute turning point, representing the true abandonment of right effort, samma vayama, in its compulsive, striving form, leading to non-effort or effortless presence. Clinging to the dead branch symbolizes the limitations of even skillful means when one is still grasping for an outcome. The realization that he was trying to realize, not allowing that to take him, is the core insight of non-clinging, anupadana, and letting go, viraga. It's the understanding that true liberation isn't something to be acquired, but a state of being that emerges when all striving and mental fabrication cease. This profound shift from effort-based seeking to ultimate surrender allows for the breakthrough of prajna, wisdom. His crossing the river, though physically arduous, is also a metaphor for transcending the flow of samsara. His vow under the Bodhi tree solidifies his ultimate commitment to complete liberation. Not mere meditative states. The dawn of enlightenment, the fullness of being. He just sat down. As he sat there, utterly still, utterly surrendered, the full moon was rising majestically in the night sky, bathing the entire landscape in its soft, luminous glow. In that perfect stillness, in that state of absolute non-striving, Siddhartha attained to his fullest potential. He achieved complete and perfect enlightenment. He sat there, not in a state of mere mental concentration, but in a profound state of ecstasy and boundless blissfulness, a state that transcended all previous experiences. He had become the Buddha, the awakened one, the fully enlightened one. The ultimate problem of suffering was solved, not by acquisition, but by the ultimate letting go. This moment, the very core of his spiritual journey, signifies the extinguishing of all desires, all attachments, all mental fabrications. The flame of craving was blown out, leading to nirvana, a state of profound peace and liberation. It was not a grand struggle that brought this ultimate understanding, but a deep, conscious surrender. Buddhist insight. The full moon often symbolizes completeness and perfect enlightenment. This ultimate attainment is nirvana, nibbana, the cessation of craving, tanha, and suffering, dukkha, leading to liberation from the cycle of samsara. The state of ecstasy and blissfulness refers to the profound joy, pity, and happiness, sukha, that accompany deep meditative states and, ultimately, enlightenment. It's a state of being where all mental defilements, kleshas, greed, hatred, and ignorance are fully extinguished. Siddhartha's journey from relentless seeking to ultimate surrender under the Bodhi tree is the blueprint for right mindfulness, samma sati, and right concentration, samma samadhi, culminating in right view, samma ditthi, and right intention, samma sankappa, thus completing the Noble Eightfold Path. This marks the culmination of his human potential and the birth of the Buddha as a teacher for the world. Practical applications. Finding your own path through surrender. Siddhartha's journey to enlightenment, particularly the pivotal moment at the Niranjana stream, offers profound lessons for our own struggles with striving, control, and finding peace in a demanding world. 1. The executive's burnout. Releasing the burden of constant striving. In our modern, high-pressure society, many of us are caught in a relentless cycle of striving. We believe that more effort, more control, more achievement will finally bring happiness and success. But often, it leads to burnout, exhaustion, and a persistent sense of never being enough. Much like Siddhartha's 6 years of extreme asceticism. Example: imagine a driven executive, working 80-hour weeks, constantly pushing for the next promotion, the next big deal. They're intellectually brilliant, highly determined, and capable of achieving incredible results, like Siddhartha mastering samadhis. Yet, despite external success, they feel a deep inner emptiness, a gnawing anxiety, and a sense of dissatisfaction. They might feel like they're drowning in their responsibilities, unable to take another step. Buddhist application. The executive's experience parallels Siddhartha at the Niranjana stream. They're trying to take success, rather than allowing well-being to manifest. The core problem isn't their effort, but the attachment to the outcome and the belief that relentless striving alone will bring fulfillment. Recognize the dead branch. The moment of exhaustion, frustration, or a health crisis can be a dead branch, a signal that the current path of striving is unsustainable. Practice, non-effort, inaction. This doesn't mean abandoning goals. It means practicing mindfulness, sati, and equanimity, upekkha, within the striving. It's about bringing awareness to the process without rigid attachment to the outcome. Can you still work hard, but with a sense of flow and less inner tension? Allowing, versus taking, instead of trying to take success by force. Can you allow it to unfold by cultivating present moment awareness? Trusting the process, and releasing the desperate need for control? This might involve delegating, setting boundaries, or simply taking mindful breaks to recharge. Trusting that true success emerges from balance. 2. The creative block. Surrendering to the flow. Artists, writers, or innovators often experience creative blocks, periods where ideas simply won't flow. Despite intense effort, this is another example of trying to realize something that requires allowing. Example: a writer struggles for days, even weeks, trying to force out a chapter. They sit at their desk, frustrated, feeling inadequate, believing that sheer willpower will break the block. The more they try to take the words, the more elusive they become. Buddhist application. The Buddha's realization under the Bodhi tree offers a profound lesson. The ultimate insights often come not from intense striving, but from a moment of surrender and letting go, viraga. Release the trying when faced with a creative block. Instead of forcing it, step away, engage in a different activity. Take a walk, meditate. This stepping away is analogous to Siddhartha letting go of the branch. Cultivate emptiness. Allow the mind to become empty of the frantic need to produce. In this state of no mind, a concept related to sunyata, where intellectual striving ceases, genuine insight can emerge. The creative solution often appears spontaneously when the mind is relaxed and receptive, not strained. Trust the fullness of being. Believe that creativity is not something you force, but something you allow to flow through you from a deeper, more boundless source, much like Siddhartha realizing the fullness of life in his deepest state of bliss. 3. The unsolvable problem. Trusting the unfolding. We all encounter unsolvable problems in life, dilemmas that seem to have no apparent solution, causing immense stress and mental agitation. Our instinct is to analyze, strategize, and push harder. Example: a person faces a complex personal or financial crisis. They spend sleepless nights agonizing over solutions, but the more they try to solve it through sheer mental effort, the more entangled and stressed they become. They're trying to take the solution. Buddhist application. The Buddha's experience teaches that sometimes the solution emerges when we cease the struggle. Recognize the limits of striving. Acknowledge when your intellectual striving has reached its limit. You might not have the strength, mental or emotional, for the next step. Hang there, in awareness, instead of collapsing into despair. Maintain mindful awareness of the problem without actively trying to solve it for a period. This is like Siddhartha holding the branch, simply being with the situation without forcing a resolution. Allow the truth to manifest. Trust that when the mind is not grasping, not clinging, and not fabricating solutions, the true path, or the next step, will reveal itself spontaneously. This is the essence of right view, samadhi, in its highest form, seeing reality as it is, without imposing our desires on it. The strength to take the next step comes from the clarity that arises from letting go. Conclusion. The ultimate freedom of letting go, your personal Buddha story. Siddhartha's journey to enlightenment, particularly the pivotal moment at the Niranjana stream and his final surrender under the Bodhi tree, is not merely a historical account, it is a profound, living blueprint for human transformation. It illustrates that ultimate peace and wisdom are found not through endless, forceful striving to take enlightenment, but through a radical act of allowing it to manifest by releasing all attachments, even to the goal itself. Key learnings for your personal awakening. Striving has its limits. Recognize when your intellectual brilliance and sheer willpower have reached their boundary. True wisdom often lies beyond the intellect, in the realm of direct experience and surrender. The folly of extremes. Both excessive indulgence and extreme self-mortification are futile paths that do not lead to liberation. The middle way is the path of balance. sustainability, and clarity. The power of non-clinging, anupadana, true liberation is not about acquiring something, but about letting go of everything, desires, attachments, the ego, and even the effort to realize. When you stop trying to grasp the boundless, it simply is. Embrace the allowing shift from a mindset of, I must achieve this, to, I will allow this to unfold. This is a profound spiritual stance of trust and receptivity. The witnessing consciousness. Cultivate a state of being where you are the observer of your thoughts, emotions, and sensations, without becoming entangled in them. This stillness is the ground for profound insight. The Buddha's journey teaches us that the path to ultimate freedom, to nirvana, is not a linear ascent built on relentless effort, but a profound descent into the depths of being, a radical surrender. It is about becoming empty of striving so that the fullness of existence can manifest. Your life, too, is an unfolding Buddha story. Are you clinging to the dead branch of old habits, endless striving, or unexamined desires? Are you trying to take happiness or success by force? Or are you ready to surrender, to trust the allowing, and to step into the boundless clarity and ecstasy that await when you truly let go? The ultimate freedom is always within your grasp, waiting for your final, courageous surrender. Thank you for watching, and may you always carry the profound peace and illuminating wisdom of these stories within your heart. Join our growing community by liking this video and subscribing to Buddha Story, where ancient wisdom beautifully meets modern mindfulness. What dead branch are you ready to let go of in your own life? Share your reflections and experiences in the comments below. Until our next encounter, may your path be filled with profound peace, deep understanding, and the radiant light of your own awakening.